Hey guys, wanted to review 4 quick hands in this MTT, 2 final table bluff hands, and 2 hands that were the stronger parts of my range as far as hands I got dealt, that I actually ended up playing pretty passively, and I just wanted to do a spot check with you guys on those 2 hands to see if you would play it much the same way as I did. Yeah, let's get into these 2 bluffs here first. Final table 65 player online tournament, pays out 8 spots, 2 to the money. We got out of the gates really good in this one. We late regged 45 minutes into the tournament. 5 minutes of play, we skyrocketed our stack right to the chip leader spot, which was really great. Even running like God or anything, just finding some really good spots to get chips in. Players playing over aggressively, trying to get bounties and getting in really weak. But yeah, we find ourselves at the final table here. Blinds are 150, 300. We have an EP open from 800. MP call, the button calls. I think being out of position here, respecting the early position range, I think this is worth a call. I think it's a little too strong for us to fold. So I'd like to take a flop here. I think 3-betting gets me in trouble. I think jamming, I could get called by much better, as ace queen plus and queens plus can totally in this spot right here. So we play a little bit cautiously, just respecting that one of the chip leaders is open the pot early. Maybe if I'm suited, I'd consider 3-betting this, but I like my call as is. Go to the flop. Interesting flop. Any non-diamond jack gives us the nuts. We'd probably be pretty happy with the jack of diamonds as well, but we wouldn't be crazy about it. Pot's 42.50. We're going to go ahead and check this one. We see a c-bet from the pre-flop aggressor. MP folds, button folds. Those are 2 players that I was also concerned about because they have position on me. Now this situation looks a lot better. What I want to do here is, I expect the big blind to just fold a ton. What I want to do here is call and reevaluate the turn. Obviously, I think we're going to go for a check jam on any jack. Probably get it in also with any queen, any king on the turn. Reevaluate if a diamond falls. Let's see how villain reacts to that as well. We make a loose float. Let me know what you guys think about that, like putting 1200 in, only leaving 43.70 back. I know that's ambitious here. So anyways, spot swells to 66.50. We catch an interesting card. We should have more diamonds in our range than villain, since we check called the flop. If villain checks here, I think I like this as a potential bluff on the river. We go ahead and check. Villain with any really strong hands, especially if they have a diamond in their hand, will just maximize pressure here and put me in a really tough spot. When villain checks back, I interpret that as either the nuts, or that villain's very concerned about us check calling the flop with diamonds. So he checks back. River is a 7. I decide I think this guy's more weighted towards the concerned about the diamonds. I think that's more in our range. Then he would have a nutted hand here. I'm expecting him to really just have a lot of broadways. I think the best hand he could have in this spot is maybe ace 10, which would be kind of an awkward spot. He might I don't know if it's worth him calling. Because all the draws got there, the open and straight draw got there, the diamonds got there. I guess this player probably wouldn't be good enough to fold ace 10s. Me trying to fold out that hand, I think would be too ambitious, but I think there's a lot of miss Broadway here. A lot of ace X hands this guy open, so I don't really interpret him as very strong. I kind of make an interesting sizing of 33.25. I think this just looks less bluffy from his perspective. It kind of looks like I'm trying to go for value here. I think I make a pretty balanced sizing. If I had made the flush here, I'd probably do something very similar. So we bet, just a little over 3,300. Villain folds. We scoop that pot. Interested to know what you guys think of my thought process there, the lines I took, the sizing. Love it, you hate it. Feel me. Let's look at the next hand. We have just slightly over 10k. Mine's still 300, 600 now. We have a limp. I decide to limp here. I'm primarily kind of doing this as set mine, maybe run like some type of bluff on certain board textures. Primarily, I'm just trying to set mine. I didn't want to raise because I was finding that Susie Q and Yaboy were very active and stabbing pretty frequently at pots and stuff like that. And that would make it really awkward for us to raise, have them bet into us if we're take a flop unimproved. There's going to just be a ton of flops that we don't like with 5. I opt to not inflate here. I don't really practice a whole lot of limping, but I think in this spot it's fine here. Take the flop 5 ways. 3,400. Pretty nasty flop for our hand. However, we see 2 checks, one from a very ambitious player. However, this player is in the big blind, so he's just going to have a ton of trash. He's out of position, so we can pretty much freeze him out. Once Susie Q checks here, I'm starting to feel a little bit better. I love to see a check from the cutoff, and then hopefully take a good turn card. It checks all the way through. Turn is a king. I think this is a fantastic card. I think my limping range with kings in this spot would be that I could definitely limp king 9 suited. King 10 would probably be the bottom of my king X range in this spot. I don't have too many combinations of kings, but it definitely does not feel like anyone's really interested in this pot. We get that thought process confirmed by it checking all the way through to us again. So I think here is just a really great spot to bet. When I bet here and I get called, that's actually not very scary for me. I just expect some pretty bad draws to continue along, mostly gutters, maybe spade draws. So even if I get called here, I'm ready to fire one more bullet on the river. I go 25-50. I just want to make a sizing where I look pretty serious. I'm basically setting up for a river jam. I guess I can check like a lot of heart rivers where we're just still ahead of villain's drawing range. Obviously, if I feel like villain is calling with a 9, I think jamming in that spot's worth it, as we can remove the 9. It would really depend what kind of queen villain had. Like to fold a queen out, I think villain would have to have like basically queen 2. We should fold that hand out here on the turn and not worry about that hand showing up on the river. We get all folds. And yeah, just look like an orphan pot. What do you guys think how this was played pre, post, and turn? Okay, we hit the rewind button here. This is a little bit earlier in the tournament. Not sure if I like how I played this hand. We are the chip leader at the table here. We see 777 sizing from one of the short stacks. I actually feel more confident if the short stack had jammed here versus the smaller sizing. I think a lot of time when this sizing is smaller, it's like a real hand. Like it's jacks plus, it's ace queen plus. When villains jam all in, I feel like they're more weighted to, like, especially in my situation with ace 9 here, I'd more weight them towards wired pairs between 2s through 8s, some weaker ace X's, some Broadway hands. I'd be more inclined to call, where when they don't want to stick the whole stack in, this like concerns me a little bit. My plan here was to still raise when it got back to me. However, another awkward spot here is this guy chainsaw and on the button jams for roughly 4K. Yeah, I mean, what I do when I'm on the button there in this exact spot is I'm usually jamming like also jacks plus, ace queen plus, maybe ace jack suited to ISO the short stack. Though, like I said, I don't really like the sizing of the short stack. That scares me as far as their hand strength. Obviously not scared of their stack, but we definitely don't want to bleed off chips here, and especially when chainsaw runs interference. But yeah, do you guys ever interpret this as just like a clean squeeze from the button with a pretty weak holding? I didn't have any information on this villain. I definitely added some notes after I saw this hand because I thought this turned out to be a squeeze play rather than a value hand from my interpretation of it. So anyways, I opt to fold because, yeah, I just expect, I actually expect to have the worst hand out of these 3 players. Tell me what you think of this spot. Like, do you feel like you have the best hand, a marginal hand, somewhere sandwiched in between, or do we just usually have the worst hand out of these 3? I was pretty convinced I had the worst hand here. Yeah, maybe I'm just really interpreting the situation poorly. That's what the showdown tells us as we see the snap call. And it's just a really, really bland run out. And ace 9 would have been good here. A little sick to see this, especially when I look at my stack size and it was like basically nothing for me to call. But I don't believe in calling just because it's nothing to call. There's definitely a lot of spots where our equity in the hand based on the stack depth is, yeah, we just have to call off with what we think is second best in a blind on blind situation or heads up situation. But here, this really looked a lot stronger than what it was. So we put some notes on Chainsaw, opens light. We actually, later on, we called their jam with 2-2 and they rolled over King 10. They went runner, not straight on us. So a little unlucky there. We ended up going to the final table as a mid stack instead of the monster stack. But yeah, I was playing to win this tournament and I wanted to go with my reads. The thing I guess that sucks about 2-2 is we're always just flipping there basically, but I wanted to just stick it in ahead and hope to win a coin flip because I was going to survive the 2-2 hand if he got there on me. If he couldn't improve, we probably would have just won the tournament from that point on because we would have been massively huge in a field that's really not prepared to handle a player of my experience and talent. So, but yeah, I read this one wrong. That's unfortunate. I got one more hand I played passively. Not to be results oriented. This next hand I'm going to show you in a second. We definitely see what would have happened. But the result confirmed to me at the time that I was correct in my logic and my approach. But let's not be results oriented and just let's look at the spot and you guys tell me, did I play this next hand too passively? So let's move on to that hand. Alright, last hand here. We're shifting back to the final table. So I'm bouncing you guys around here. I should have did this timeline approach. So yeah, as I stated, Boy is a pretty active player. We have confirmation of this route. I don't want to jam here. I just feel like this hand is just not strong enough to jam with. I don't feel like I'm desperate enough here. Like I just feel like with my ability to stay patient, find really good spots, I think I can move up the ladder without needing to just jam here. So too strong to fold, too weak to jam. I don't have the stack depth to just put in a standard raise. I'm basically pot committing myself. Even if I had 2.5 exit, that's a pretty decent percentage of my stack. So I thought this is a little bit awkward here, but I need to try and see a flop. So we go ahead and limp. Like I said, I'm not usually a component of limping. I think the limp has a few spots in the game. Primarily, I'm folding or opening my hands. Here, I think this is a limping candidate. Let me know what you think. Here we have the button limps in, small blind limps in, and our very active player jams. And this is again like, I could min raise it and get jammed on. I could 2.5 exit and commit too many chips and get jammed on. I could jam and just get snapped off. Awkward spot. I decide with the King 10 suited here, it's not good enough. I decide to fold this one. The button puts their chips in, and we go to the flop. We would have actually outflopped everyone, and then the turn's horrible for us as the active player in the big blind woke up with Ace King, won the flip against 5-5. The only time I was ever ahead was on the flop. Lucky for us, we folded this one. I mean, this to me, I'm interpreting this spot as standard, a standard limp fold here. But would you guys take an aggressive line despite the big blind being very active? I mean, when it folds to us in this spot, we gotta think that King 10 suited is going to be ahead quite a large frequency of XX hands from the button on. But ended up playing this one more passively, and it worked out for us as we got to the final table. Excited to hear you guys' insights, how you weigh into these lines. These 4 spots were the most either ambitious spots for me with the bluffs and confusing spots with laying down the stronger parts. of my range that I was dealt. So yeah, can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. Thanks.